I'm Jen, and this is Prague, the heart of Europe and my adopted home. Subscribe to get an American's take on this enchanting city and all things Czech. Welcome to the adventure. Ahoj všichni. In this video, we're going to touch on one of your favorite topics, my mistakes. So this channel started off being a personal project for me to sort of speak about what it's like to live in the Czech Republic. But as more and more people watch it, I feel I have some responsibility to get things correct. Now, of course, most of my videos are just my opinions, and you're free to disagree with them all you like. In fact, you're free to start your own YouTube channel with your own opinions. But if I'm mentioning some Czech legend and I get the date off by centuries, we'll get to it, then I'm more than happy to read your corrections. All of them. Just a quick tip, before you make that correction, just scan the comment section, and if 500 other people have made the same correction, maybe don't waste your time. Jen here with a quick message from my longtime sponsor, Italki. This week, Hansa and I are on a business trip away from home, but that didn't stop me from having 2 Czech lessons with Italki teachers. And that's perhaps my favorite thing about Italki, that it suits my needs and my schedule. This month, Italki is hosting its famous language challenge. Now, if you can believe it, we're already at the end of 2021, a few months. How long have you been putting off learning Czech, or Spanish, or English? The language challenge is the perfect way to improve your language before the end of the year. Speaking another language can help you get a better job. It can help you get a promotion. It can even make your next foreign vacation more enjoyable. Here's how the language challenge works. You set your goal of how many lessons you would like to complete during the challenge, and if you meet your goal, you can win prizes like free Italki credits to pay for future lessons. And let me tell you, I've met some of the nicest, most encouraging, and knowledgeable teachers on the Italki platform. I have so many favorites that I have to rotate them through each month. Last night, I tried a new community tutor named Carolina for a quick half-hour lesson just to see how it went. And she was so patient and helpful that I immediately booked a lesson with her for next week. Right now, if you're new to Italki and you sign up for the language challenge using the link in the description box below and the code DREAMPRAGUE at checkout, you can get $5 off a $10 purchase of Italki credits. When you do, you help me support this channel by helping me pay for things like Czech subtitles. I know a lot of people watch this channel to learn Czech or to learn English, and those subtitles can help you do that. So thank you. Okay, back to the video. Tak, where to begin? Ah yes, the metric system. In this video, I mentioned some really interesting secret things in Prague that I passed by every day and either never took notice of or didn't know what they meant. And I made a big mistake that oh so many of you caught. We're gonna chalk this one up to my bad eyesight when reading the sign and the fact that even after 9.5 years, I still don't understand the metric system. Also, if you're American, you should know that this comma is actually a decimal point. When discussing the length of Přemysl Otakar II's arm from fingertip to elbow, you'd have to watch the video to know why we were discussing some dude's arm. I made a very big mistake. The length of his arm is immortalized on New Town Hall in the length of a locket. And this is what they would use to measure things like fabric back in the day. And it couldn't have possibly been 5,914 millimeters, but rather 591.4 millimeters. So basically I forgot a decimal comma. Millimeters are so small, it seemed right. Please don't tell me again how much more sense the metric system makes than the imperial system. If you want to, write a letter to my 2nd grade teacher for all the damage she's done. It's not gonna fix my brain so that I automatically know what to wear when it's 30 degrees outside. In this video, some of my lovely American friends tried to guess the meaning of Czech idioms, and we were really stumped by the idiom to je jiné kafe. So I did speak to a couple Czech teachers before I did this video, and they told me that it meant that we would say in English, it's like apples and oranges, meaning you're comparing things that are not comparable. But many of you in the comment section told me that this was not the precise meaning. To je jiné kafe means that the second thing you're offering is a lot better than the first. So let's say you're renting a car and the gentleman brings out some jalopy for you, and then his colleague rolls out a Ferrari for you to drive away. And you can say, oh, to je jiné kafe. It means that the second car is on a whole nother level. I had a really hard time thinking of the English equivalent to this idiom, and some of you pointed out in the comments that you could say, now that's the ticket, or now we're talking, which make less sense than to je jiné kafe. Anyway, thank you for the more precise definitions, and if you're interested in what Americans think Czech idioms mean, my friends' guesses at those idioms are adorable. In this video, I discussed the different attitudes towards nudity between the Czechs and the Americans. And some of you Czech viewers commented that you were watching that video in your underwear at that moment, which makes me reconsider my content a bit. The mistake I made in this video was calling you naturalists and not naturists. A naturalist is someone who studies nature, and a naturist is someone who does it in the nude. Naturist is a word I'd never heard before because I speak American English and that word is British English, which explains my flub and why we broke away from that country. In this video, I got heavily criticized by the Czechs for even giving an opinion on what it's like to drive in this country. Which begs the question, have they ever driven in this country? The biggest criticism I received was for what sounded like a very dark joke about a town in the Czech Republic that was the location of some atrocities that were committed during World War II. See, I was explaining how strange it was for me to be driving to see a sign welcoming me to a town, and then 500 meters later, another sign telling me I was exiting that town. While I was filming, I just made up a word that sounded like a Czech town, like Číčovice or Větrušice. And in fact, the town's name I said was a real town. The town of Lidice was completely destroyed by the Nazis, and their inhabitants were slaughtered. It's a long, tragic, and fascinating story about Czech World War II history, and if you're interested, I highly recommend this book, or if you're more into films, this is an excellent film to learn more about it. But no, I did not say that town's name intentionally, and I would never make a dark joke about Czech history. I like to keep my dark humor more current. In this video, we took a trip to Bohemian Switzerland, and on the way, we drove by a famous mountain called Říp. And my casual, off-topic mention of Říp was hardly worth the grief that I received in the comments. According to legend, forefather Czech climbed Mount Říp with his followers and declared that the land before them would always be filled with beasts and bees and produce, and their tables would always be filled, and from this place they could easily defend themselves against their enemies, which proved harder than he anticipated. Being American, not only do I not understand the metric system, I don't understand history that predated Elvis Presley. And so I mistakenly said that forefather Czech had made this proclamation in the year 1310, when by that time, Prague was just a few decades away from becoming the seat of the Holy Roman Empire. So the Czechs had been here for a hot minute. So many of the Czechs in the comments section admonished me, saying, "No, this is ridiculous. Forefather Czech came in the 5th century, or the 6th century, or the 7th, or the 9th. At least I'm not the only one who's confused about history. Of a legend. But we can definitely be sure that this legend occurred many centuries before 1310. We can be sure that the location was Mount Říp, and we can be sure that forefather Czech and his followers did not ride horses and buggy up Mount Říp. They rode dinosaurs, as everyone did back then. At me in the comments. On that note, I want to mention something that a few of my subscribers exposed about me in the comments. They said that I'm not actually making mistakes at all. I'm just trying to grow my engagement. How do I do this? By making one ridiculous but small mistake in every video, so that the Czechs, who by their very nature cannot let a mistake go uncorrected, feel compelled to publicly express their correction in the comment section. He says, "We're Czechs. We can't help ourselves. We must point out your errors." It's almost as if I understand the Czech mentality so well that I've used it to hack the YouTube algorithm to amass fame and fortune. A get-rich-quick scheme 10 years in the making. Lastly, I want to address a mistake that I and most foreigners make when they come to this country, and that is thinking that customer service is pretty bad. One thing I mentioned in this video is that the Czech supermarket cashiers are just not very friendly. In fact, sometimes it feels like they're throwing the groceries at you faster than you can open your bag, just so they can get you out of there and start scanning the next person's groceries. Many of you wrote to me to tell me that that is in fact what they're doing. Not because they're trying to be rude, but because their job requirements have made it that way. The grocery stores in the Czech Republic actually time the speed at which these cashiers scan the goods, and if they're not scanning quick enough, they can be penalized and maybe even fired. So we shouldn't blame these cashiers for trying to get us out of the way, but maybe we should blame the grueling policies of their employers. I owe these Czech cashiers an apology for not understanding their situation. This is just an example of how when you dig a little deeper into another culture, you realize that people aren't trying to be rude. Everyone's just doing the best they can. So next time, I'll just try to bag my groceries more quickly so Pani Bolshidova doesn't get in trouble with her manager. As always, thank you so much for your comments. I try to get to as many as I can, and I look forward to reading more of them in the future. Tak, uvidíme se příští týden. Ahoj.